Hey guys, welcome back to Abios Grand Tournament. We have 2 matches left to end day 1. And this is going, quite long. We had 6 matches. We started at 6 p.m. CST, so 6 hours and 24 minutes ago. And now we're left with 2 matches, so between Neirea and Tom60229. And after that, there's Stan Sivka, DreamHack Romania champion, versus Ost Kaka. And first of all, we have the Neirea versus Tom matchup, and we didn't get the lineups yet, but what I can tell about those players. So, give me some insight.
Yeah, Tom, I mean, for those of you who even aren't familiar with the Asian scene particularly, Tom should be one of those players you have heard of. He's made a huge splash on so many tournaments, like absolute open qualifier monster, qualified for something like 3 straight Gfinities. He's won ASUS ROG Summer. He's probably just the most successful player worldwide in terms of the Asian scene. The one to make the biggest impact on the Western scene, at least. Neirea, another name that's been around for a long time. You guys should have no trouble recognizing him. Member of Team Liquid, of course. Just a huge high-level matchup between 2 real powerhouses of Hearthstone right now.
Yeah, and Tom is on the team Yoi Flash Wolves.
Right. If you're expecting me to give you some sort of explanation of what that is, then you're going to be waiting a long time, Lothar, because I have
I have no idea. But the winnings of Tom are really impressive. First at ASUS ROG Summer 2015, then 13 to 16 at Hearthstone World Championships 2014, first at Summer Circuit Finals for $10,000, so that's nice. Third Hong Kong Esports Tournament, and Gfinity Summer Masters 3rd to 4th. And then first on BlizzCon World Champions Korea Taiwan qualifier, and first on Iron Forum Night Tournament, which is some Asian stuff, but seems like a okay premier tournament. So yeah, really impressive run. And we got the matchups right now. Neirea plays Paladin Druid Warrior when Tom plays Mage Hunter Paladin.
Interesting. First thing jumps out at me, no Patron Warrior from Tom. And we have seen Lothar, Tom play Patron Warrior at quite a few tournaments in the past. And he has his own take on playing the deck. He plays it a lot more on curve. Just plays his minions out, plays for tempo with it.
I was there when he had the explanation, and I was like,
right.
That's not exactly the way 95% of people are playing it. So I'm not sure if it's better.
Broke down this Patron Warrior thing from Tom in some detail when we were on the analyst desk together at Gfinity, where he considers it a tempo deck, and that just seems really weird to both of us. But let's not tread over old ground. The important point is that he's decided not to bring it now. So, that could be that he just, for some reason, doesn't feel like it's good in the meta right now, which would be weird. Or like the only other possible alternative is maybe he's lost faith in his performance with the deck a little bit. I don't know. Hard to say, but Mage Hunter Paladin still a very solid lineup. I believe all the way through into Game 7, this is the first Hunter we are seeing in the tournament, right?
Is it?
I think so.
Someone was playing Hunter, but I think there was no point he didn't get to use it. I think someone had the Hunter in his deck list.
All right, maybe. I'm pretty confident we have definitely not seen a Hunter actually being played, but it might have been in someone's lineup. That might be true. From Neirea's side, Paladin Druid Warrior, pretty solid lineup. We would expect Secret Paladin, just the standard double combo, mid-range fast Druid, and then Patron Warrior. Neirea has had a little bit of a history with Control Warrior, but I know that he's a very accomplished Patron player as well, so I would expect to see Patron coming out from Neirea. From Tom's side, again, the big mystery is a mage. Is this a freeze mage? Is it a tempo mage? Is it a mech mage? What do you think we're going to see from the mage from Tom?
Usually when I see Asian metagame, it's about all being the aggressive player. Okay. So I would be not surprised if this is like a form of a tempo mage. It might be very different from what we usually see in the European or NA servers, but I would say it's still the aggressive version. And by the way, guys, remember !giveaway. It actually gives away something. So be sure to type that to be in the to have a chance of winning something. And remember, when you're tweeting, also use the hashtag AbiosGT to be on screen for your 5 minutes of fame. Yeah, and we'll be jumping into the game really fast.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the hold-up is here. I think we're just waiting for the players to feel comfortable and to start. I don't think there's anything organisationally getting us in the way, but I guess we haven't really talked about how these lineups match up directly against each other. So do you feel like either player has an advantage in this with these lineups?
I feel like the Druid might be really falling short to Tom's lineup.
Yeah, because I agree with that.
If Mage is a tempo mage, Hunter is a mid-range, and Paladin is whatever, then usually the Druid falters. But of course, Druid can have like a, innovate, coin, Dr. Boom, and you just, everyone is just like, oh, this shouldn't happen in a card game, To play a Dr. Boom on turn 2, that doesn't really necessarily feel good for your opponent.
Yep, I definitely agree with you. The flip side of that is that there's 3 pretty clean matchups for the Patron Warrior there. I think it's pretty comfortable against any of those matchups if it is a fairly aggressive mage. But
this is the Conquest format.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean anything.
And as we talked about before, Patron Warrior getting a win isn't hugely important. You almost have that as a given that Patron Warrior is going to win a game over the course of 3 attempts. So that isn't really too big a strong point for the deck. But we do see a web spinner in the Hunter deck from Tom. So very, very likely to just be an outright mid-range deck.
Well, we saw
we also see Zombie Chow from Neirea's Paladin. So this is probably just a mid-range Paladin as well.
Okay, so he's not believing in the power of Mysterious Challenger.
Right.
So in this situation, even with the Zombie Chow on board, you just go for the web spinner, right? There's no point in playing anything else.
Yeah, I agree. Just curve out from web spinner to Haunted Creeper is the plan as he sees it right now, and just have some resistant minions to the Zombie Chow. But Minibot coming down puts a lot of pressure on this board, and he might even consider.
Wow.
King's Alec is not a bad card to pick up here, but
it's not a bad card, but you can't really play it. The same goes for the Mad Scientist, because if you only play freezing traps, you would basically say you take your Zombie Chow back.
Yeah,
and that's like horrible.
And setting up the Haunted Creeper here, if it is ignored, which seems like a likely play from Tom. Actually, he has to play around Coin Houndmaster at this point, so maybe he will choose to trade it down, especially since he's about to play Muster for Battle, and that just gives him a perfectly clean trade anyway.
And I think you should play Master for Battle as soon as possible against Hunter, because otherwise you're being probably just out-raced by a Unleash the Hound Knife Juggler combo on turn 5.
I like his decision to push face with the mini-bot as well there, by the way. That Divine Shield, the absolute minimum value it can ever get is hitting a 1 power minion, so there's no reason to give that to your opponent.
Yeah. Wow, Big Game Hunter too. Well, this is a really reactive hand from Neirea. But I think you should play the Big Game Hunter anyway.
Yeah, you could do.
I mean, if you already have such board, are you playing a round combo with Unleash the Hounds and Knife Juggler?
Right.
If he has it, you probably lose anyway, because you don't have Consecration.
Yeah.
And you're not pressuring him enough.
Right. But we do not see the Unleash the Hounds top deck, so there is no option to remove this board right now. What pressing hero power does here is it really, really telegraphs a Quartermaster and might make your opponent panic into making an overreactive play to clear a bunch of 1/1s.
So you're saying there will be probably a Knife Juggler or Mad Scientist play?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what you expect from your opponent to answer this, but honestly, if you see your opponent just hero power on turn 4 to make a bunch of 1/1s on the board, the only read you can possibly have is Quartermaster, right? So.
Wow, he didn't kill it. Like any kind of the 1/1s.
Interesting. So I guess he's just accepting at this point that, even if he takes one of these 1/1s down here, Quartermaster still wins the game for Neirea. So if you can't beat the card anyway, just ignore it and just hope they don't have it. So I think that's probably the right play. Just hope he doesn't have it, just preserve your bow charge for something better. All right. So he's going to attack first and then consecrate, and then next turn allows...
Why wouldn't you trigger the trap this turn?
That's what I'm worried about, because he's already seen Web Spinner, so he knows this is a slower deck, and therefore the most likely trap is Freezing Trap, and the second most likely trap is Snake Trap. So he should be pretty confident it's not explosive. So yeah, it seems like a weird play not to just not freeze a 1/1 that turn. Wow.
Oh.
Not many, you don't lose many jousts against a 2-drop, but Web Spinner, not the card he wanted to see out of the joust there.
Don't you think you should play the second Alec now?
Yeah, second Alec seemed reasonable, but it depends a lot on his trap makeup as well as what trap that is, and that does appear now to be Snake Trap.
I mean, the reason why I would like to play the second Alec is to have a chance to curve out a Savannah High main next turn.
Yeah, no, I guess that's true.
Oh!
Double Hunter's Mark.
Oh, definitely that's the play. Wow.
So King's Alec here. He'd love to actually draw another card.
Oh,
Web
double!
Spinner.
That's a single Web Spinner in the deck. I mean, he probably wouldn't have anything, because even the Savannah Hyman, like the Savannah Hyman is probably the most expensive card in the deck, right?
Right. Or
So-
potentially a boon. But,
Or potentially boom. So only the boom would win against the Sylvanas.
yeah. Yeah, so it didn't really matter that it was Web Spinner. It's just kind of an amusing thing. The one Web Spinner in the deck comes out and ruins the joust twice. But
Yeah.
Hunter sat here with a board of, not very much. Sure, it's 9 damage a turn if it goes unchecked, but it's not exactly the most robust of boards. Anything like a Mustafa Battle or a Consecrate is going to deal with this board pretty efficiently over time. And his one card in hand is a Hunter's Mark. So he's going to be relying on something that mid-range Hunter does do quite well, and that's drawing power consistently every turn. He does still have probably double Shredder, double High Main, a lower Theb, maybe a Boom, stuff like that in his deck. There's the High Main. So the High Main does come down and denies the Joust, but the Joust there, almost entirely unimportant. He's just playing the 5/5 to have a 5/5. So.
By the way, if you play Alex, are you playing Ram Wranglers?
That's usually the case, yeah. If you're playing Ram Wrangler, if you're playing Alec, you usually like to play the extra 5 drops to up your curve a bit, and it's kind of a straight choice between Stranglethorn Tiger and Ram Wrangler. Some people play 2 Tigers, some people play 1 of each, etc., etc. So I would expect to see one or both of those cards in his deck at some point if we get to see many draws. Swings at face here just to get rid of the last charge of his existing weapon before he hopefully replaces it with an Ashbringer. And I doubt we're going to see Black Knight in Hunter to deal with this Tyrion, right?
I don't think there was a Black Knight in any Hunter at any point of the game. I mean, in competitive environment.
So there's the Hunter's Mark, and he's going to use his face to push through it, which leaves him dead to 2 swings of the Ashbringer, but it is just straight up threatening lethal right now.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Is
it? Wait, 5, 9, 11?
No.
14, 16 damage? No, that's not enough. You have to do something about the board, and you can't.
Can't, so you have lost.
Yes.
Wow.
So Neirea is being just... I mean, no, I dragged by the hero power of his opponent.
I was gonna say, what has happened this game? Like, at what point did it look like the Hunter was ahead? And then
I mean, you know what?
Suddenly out of nowhere.
I think I know where the mistake is lying.
Okay.
The Light's Justice should have killed one of the Alex 2 turns before.
But he has Snake Trap in play. That's why the.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's why the race has just been happening the whole time, because Snake Trap is in play. So. Oh yeah, I guess Doomsayer is the out here, sure. So he's going to try for it. We have 1 in 80 something for a Doomsayer. That is not a Doomsayer.
Yeah. So first game goes to Tom60229 from /Wolves.
Yeah, just absolutely stole a win with the Hunter there, seemingly. He just seemed behind for that whole game, but then that really awkward Snake Trap came down and just really limited Neirea's options. Obviously, the turn the snake trap was played, there was a knife juggler on the board, so there was absolutely no way he was proccing the snakes that turn. And then from then on, there just really wasn't nice trades to make that took any power off the board, because the things on board only had like 3 power, 4 power. So trading into them didn't really make any sense, because you just add 3 more power to your opponent's board afterwards. And then by activating the race, you're kind of just playing straight into Hunter's hands, right? And you just lose the game that way. So Hunter manages to sneak one out there, and it does look like we have a tempo mage from Tom up against the mid-range paladin.
Arcane Blast, what's happening?
Arcane Blast.
What? I mean, I didn't see that in competitive environment at all.
I believe I have seen it being used once or twice. I think I saw it at least once in, maybe it was only the last chance qualifier and not in the actual top 40, but in some stage of the BlizzCon progression, I've definitely seen it being used.
Okay, so when you use Arcane Blast, you also use a Thalnos and the Azure Drakes.
Yeah, I think actually Azure Drake is just the only... I don't think Thalnos was being played in the deck I saw, and I don't think it's really necessary to play Thalnos as well. I think Arcane Shot is a reasonable card that this deck might play if it was available to them.
I mean, it works now, right?
Yeah.
Sorcerer's Apprentice into an Arcane Blast. That looks really great.
Yep.
By the way...
Wow, Fallen Hero! Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go and retract an Icy Veins comment right now. So someone responding to one of my articles said that Fallen Hero was fantastic in Tempo Mage, and I said the only way I can think of to respond to that is that no one in the professional scene plays that card in Tempo Mage. Yeah, I now have to go and retract that comment entirely.
Look at that. Arcane Shot for Paladin and Dark Bargain for Mage.
Yeah, Dark Bargain not looking like a great card. Although Tempo Mage does often find themselves very low on cards in the late game, so...
Yes, exactly.
He might actually be able to get reasonably good value out of that at some point. But for now, he's just going to continue developing big minions, pretty much playing this just arena style. He's just played an overstatted minion on each turn and just kept up the pressure, so... Nothing too spectacular from his side so far. From Neirea's side, he has a lot of value in his hand, but it's a matter of finding the time to play it against this amount of aggression from his opponent.
I mean, the Arcane Shot will be really helpful here, because next turn, you can just drop a 4-mana minion, or just a mini bot and hero power and fit an Arcane Shot to kill the drop from, I don't know, whatever, because there always will be a target for that.
Sure. And Tom is just curving out like a god off the top of his deck. Drew the Yeti last turn, drew the Drake this turn, but is Drake the play here, Lothar? He can Fallen Hero and Frostbolt the Piloted Shredder. He's going to go for a ping. Interesting. Wow.
I didn't see that coming, to be honest.
No, me neither. I guess he's just deciding not to play the Drake there just because it's such a good trade for the Piloted Shredder, but... yeah, the ping and trade into 1/1 was a little strange, but I guess it's just playing around Quartermaster. You don't want to give them that much value on the board going into turn 5. We do see Consecrate come down, and this is where the Arcane Shot, as you talked about, is pretty spectacular. Resets the board to a state where it's just a Piloted Shredder against nothing. You do lower your own health quite heavily in the meantime. You're scared of things like Fireball just coming over the top and ending the game, but honestly, is there a better play on the board than this? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. In this situation, well, the Paladin's kind of regaining control, but the Dr. Boom can change a lot, but it's still waiting one more turn. Double Frostbolts.
All right, so he's...
If that spell part would have been a freezing coolant, that would just be perfect.
Yeah, Azure Drake coolant would have been a fantastic play this turn, but now mid-range Paladin's starting to do what it does and just climbing its way back onto this board with its really, really efficient mid-game minions.
By the way, that's the second time this minion pops out of the Shredder in the last 2 games.
That's very true.
That's Valiant, right?
Undersea Valiant, yeah.
Well, you can use Dark Bargain if you want to.
You can. You do have a spare part in your hand. You have a Mana Worm that isn't particularly important as well. I guess you wouldn't be...
Wow.
I was going to say you wouldn't be overly miserable to lose the Unstable Portal either, as long as you kept the Boom in your hand. But yeah, Dark Bargain looked pretty good to me that turn, and we all know how dangerous this situation is. The Boom Bots versus Sylvanas situation.
That's really uncomfortable, I would say, position to be in, because you basically say, you take my boom, I will have to frostbolt it next turn.
Right.
From the board state, there's like no reason to see something else, because there's always this possibility.
Oh.
I don't think that's necessary, because if the bomb hits the bomb and hits the Dr. Boom, then you get nothing.
Right. I guess he just wanted to absolutely minimize the chance of it hitting his face, because then he could just die straight up to things like Fireball.
Yeah, but then you only develop like Dr. Boom into bombs, and that might not be enough to win the game next turn if your opponent is lacking frostballs.
Yeah, maybe. But so we see 16 damage staring him back in the face. Oh, I don't. Is pinging a Boombot the play? Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I feel like you don't really care if your minions get hit by Boombots, so I feel like pinging the
I would say the same.
Pinging the Boombot first was probably a mistake.
That's Mistcaller, right? Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a decent minion for 3 mana, but doesn't really help here.
And we see that Neirea is in fact playing the Aldor Peacekeepers, so none of this Direwolf wonkiness that we saw from Roger, just a more solid, consistent mid-range Paladin that we know and love. Worth noting, I think the Paladin went 0-3 for Roger, right? Every loss was with the
yes, yes, the Paladin did cost him the whole match.
If he plays Tyrion here... Oh!
Punished!
This dark bargain, though!
Look at that! Mistcaller into Dark Bargain.
You play it, right? Like
yes, of course.
If the Emperor gets discarded, you just deal with it, right? Like getting the Mistcaller on board and Dark Bargaining this is just absurd.
It is. It is. Like the Mistcaller will die to the Ashbringer, but they deal 4 damage with the Mana Worm. Wait, maybe actually use the Frostbolt here. Wait, that's better. If you use Frostbolt, deal 3 damage to the face, you freeze your opponent. He's then at 3 life.
He's at 2, right? Because the Mana Worm gets buffed twice.
No, I just already counted that. I did count that.
No, the Mana Worm would be 5 because 2 spells get cast, and then Frostbolt hits face.
Oh yeah, 2. Right. Yeah. Then it's at 2.
Yeah.
But you know, the Paladin has a lot of heals.
Right, and that play is really all in. And Mistcaller is a much better long-term investment if you think your opponent is going to heal. But no, Tom looks like he's whipping it out right now. Yeah, Frostbolt, Dark Bargain. We're going all in, boys.
Oh, wow. Look at Nerea's face. That has to be a reaction, right?
He kept the Mistcaller.
Woohoo!
Oh, all right. So we do see the Consecrate. So he's not just outright dead next turn. But there are no heals in his hand, and he is going to have to pick up a heal next turn. Is there a way he can clear this board and set up lethal for the following turn? I don't think so, right? The best he can do is Consecrate, Aldor, and Minibot, which puts 5 power on the board. Yeah, so he cannot set up lethal. So it's going to come down to whether he can draw a heal in time, because this is just going to be ping face, play Mistcaller, play whatever else you draw. Okay, there's no point in playing the Flamewaker. I don't. No, you play it anyway. Because like Paladins don't heal for small. Oh, no, they do heal for small amounts with True Silver.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah, you hold the Flamewaker because then you can potentially burst through a True Silver as well. If you draw. So yeah, if your next draw was something like a secret or an unstable portal, you then potentially still have lethal if the Paladin
Arcane Blast.
Yeah, if the Paladin has a True Silver here. So yeah, I think it was better to hold. This way you need the board answered anyway, though, right?
Yep.
Just developing the minion on board, you're asking more questions. But yeah,
I mean that dark bargain was just ridiculous.
Right.
The value of that card was just ridiculous. The Spellslinger won the game single-handedly, I think.
Yep. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why they call it Casino Mage, because sometimes things like that just happen.
Yeah, and Tom is 2-0, and he won with his Paladin, so he's now left with Mage. No, wait, that was what I'm talking about. Now he's left with Paladin.
Paladin, yeah.
Yes.
And we would
Paladin...
expect this to be a more aggressive Paladin than the one we saw from Neirea, because like you said, the Asian meta is generally quite aggressive. I don't know how much specifically the Secret Paladin has caught on, but I would imagine that they love that deck quite a lot over in Asia. It seems like their kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's like the theme, I would say, of Asian metagame.
There we go. We see straight away, I don't think you guys have quite got to it yet, but we do see the redemption has come into hand from Tom. So this is an aggressive Secrets Paladin. It's just a matter of how exactly he's built it. Do we have the things like Tyrion and Boom, Mysterious Challenger, Opening Hand? But he did mulligan into it. It's not a card he chose to keep, as I've been talking about at some length. Harrison Jones. Oh, this is Control Warrior. Wow. I was expecting Patron from Neirea, but he's decided to bring Control Warrior. This is not a matchup I have a lot of experience with. How do you feel about how this goes, Lothar?
It goes... I mean, that was a really common matchup when it was when the Mech Mage was at top of the chain of command,
right?
I would say. So it was a really common matchup when there was like a Control Warrior versus Mech Mage, and it was a matchup when the warrior was favorite if he got all those weapons to deal with the minions. And yeah, I mean, that's big it.
Yeah, Fiery War Axe, Armor Smith, Bash is about as good as it gets, right? For a start against an aggressive deck. So pretty good start, but we do see Noble Sack there coming down and denying any sort of value from the weapon attack that turn. Armor Smith has no good trades on the board to make either, so Tom is just kind of free to develop a board here, and he's fairly confident. Control Warrior generally doesn't play silence, so he's happy to put all his eggs in one basket here, so to speak.
Definitely.
And
definitely, because that allows him to dish out more damage, because your opponent has to attack into that creature to give him damage to execute it. Other option is the Bash Fear War Axe, which deals with the Hunted Creeper, but still puts out 2 minions on board. Which is uncomfortable for the warrior, because we know that Control Warriors are usually playing just one Whirlwind, maybe a Revenge. The other options to bring down a huge board is basically Brawl.
Right.
And that's it.
Yep. So he is just going to have to go for the Bash Execute here. As you said, not great, because Tom still retains the 2/1/1s on the board, and he's just looking to fill in one turn nicely here. Oh. Alright, so he whiffs. How do you feel about swinging the True Silver at face here, since there's nothing else to do?
Well, I wouldn't do that. I would just save it, you know? It's too important for...
Really? Oh, the Harrison, though.
Yeah, but you can't, as I said before, you can't really play around Harrison.
Even if you're playing an aggressive deck, you're equipping a weapon directly into your opponent's turn 5, do you still just not feel like it's worth taking that swing at face?
I'm not blaming Tom for not attacking with True Silver Champion, you know?
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, there are different stances on that, but I feel like it was okay to not attack, but it definitely had merit to attack into it anyway. The problem is, if you're going super aggressive, Control Warrior, you know that this is Control Warrior now, that he has a lot of life gain, and there are Belchers in there. So how do you deal with Belchers when you don't have the True Silver Champion?
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, he does have one Iron Beak Owl in his hand, but yeah, like you said, if it's Control Warrior, you are probably going to have to maintain the board presence to win this game, because, as we've talked about before, this isn't like the outright face Paladin that has like Arcane Golems and South Sea deckhands to burst you from an empty board. You need to have the board in order to deal damage. Ooh, just plays out the Belcher into Repentance. Very interesting. The fact that he only saw 4 secrets come out in the tree may have made him think that there was no Repentance, and he felt safe playing the Belcher.
Oh man! That's devastating.
That's a Coghammer.
Because now you use the Coghammer, you target your best minion, you kill the remains of the slime, and you just go face for 9 damage. That's just insane.
Yep.
Do you play the competitive spirit? I think you do. You bluff anything. You bluff redemption.
Yeah. The bluff is actually really important here for sure. Yeah, the redemption bluff is pretty huge. If you can get him to like shield slam or 1/1 here or something crazy, then yeah, that's pretty goddamn good for you.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
The bluff goes off and like you shield slam and 1-1.
I don't think he's going to go to that level of extremes here, but still.
And look at that. If that's a redemption, he's like, okay, I'm screwed.
Yep. But this is the right play, and he's going to get the good news that it was in fact just competitive spirit. So just another 4 damage getting pushed this turn. But the bad news for him is, the bad news just got a little bit worse, because this lowly mysterious challenger with 1 secret is going to be followed up by Tyrion Fordring.
Yes, and I don't think there's a way, unless there's a brawl. But no. Even if we have a brawl and the 1/1 lives, right? Then the Tyrion has no answer, and you have no answer for the Ashbringer.
Right.
And that's like so much damage.
Is already gone. Yeah.
Yes.
So Shield Maiden Shield Slam looks pretty good for Neirea here. He's probably feeling moderately happy, a little bit worse now that he's seen that Avenge go off. But unfortunately, this draw has just been absurd from Tom, and he's just curved out into everything he's needed. The one turn that he whiffed was the True Silver that got punished really hard by the Harrison, but that has just turned out not to be enough, and he has so much damage
Brawl
through
or nothing
right now.
I mean, Bash kind of helps, but.
So he's going to go to 15 with the bash, but he still can't clear the Tyrion unless he tanks it with his face.
No, you can't attack, but you have to use the bash on the 4-3 because that's the most efficient way to like be still not dead next turn. And Palette Shredder kinda might help in case you get a Doomsayer.
So he's still not quite dead, right?
6,
That's
8,
14.
12.
He's 1 damage off.
14? Yeah, 14, yeah, sorry. 1 damage off.
So
you didn't see a brawl, so you can just play the Blessing of Kings, go face. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a slight temptation to trade just because you get so much value maxed out of that Divine Shield slamming into a 5/5, but honestly, putting your opponent to 3 with this board, what are you going to do, right? You have to go face. It's time to SM Orc.
Yeah. Wow, that was a really quick match.
It was. And, we're not too upset about that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Nice to hammer out a nice 3-0 here just to get us towards the end of the day. Not that we're not willing to cast some more fantastic Hearthstone matches, but it has been a long day. So.
That's the 7th match that we had today, and we'll still have one more, which will be Stan Sivka against Oskaka. But now, congratulations to Tom. He won with a convincing 3-0 against Neirea. Neirea never lucky, by the way. He's like always. I see when I always watch his matches, they look like that. He's getting stomped by his opponent having perfect curve, and just like a dark bargain from Spellslinger or whatever. So kind of feels bad for Neirea.
Neirea never lucky, baby rage. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, kinda. Okay. And we'll be jumping to a short break, and don't go anywhere. We're in for a treat because it's Stan Sivka, DreamHack champion from Luminosity Gaming versus